Let's see. I got everything going. Looks like it. This thing is dry now. It's nice and firm. It's a little lopsided, so I'm going to take care of that right now. I did some work on his ears, and let me just show you how this works right now. I had this straightened out, and I took this fish tubing, this vinyl fish tubing. That's actually the same stuff that I use in the removable arm rod palm. And it's the same inner diameter as the outside diameter of this rod that I used. So basically, I'm just gonna feed that on there. It takes a little twisting, but it will go on there. And this is more to protect eyes and whatnot, and give it something easier to glue onto. Although this stuff doesn't glue on anything. So I don't know really what I'm talking about there. It is working its way. But I did discover a second benefit to doing this way, which is an added value that I didn't see coming. Basically, I'm just gonna put that right up to where the fur starts. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess, about an inch from the end of it. I may have cut that off a little too soon. Okay, so now that's in place, and I'm going to kind of bend it into more of a ear shape. Okay, so now check this out. So I can actually stick my finger up there, and can you see that? I can kind of adjust his ears, and when I pull down on it, he'll kind of frown, which is kind of cool. Anyway, I'm going to futz with that a little bit more, but I think that's pretty cool. Anyway. And once the fabric is on there, it'll look more like an ear instead of just these weird antenna. Okay, so onto the nose. I got my N95 mask. If you don't have one of these around the house, then you've probably been just born in the last 5 years. All right, so put that on there. You can take some. This is 240 grit sandpaper. In fact, let me get some 60 grit. Boy, I have a lot less good sandpaper than I thought. This is actually 120, but this should work. So and this goes to show you that just when you thought that sewing was the most boring thing you're going to see on this channel, I've managed to find glue drawing also, and now sanding. See, it shapes pretty well, pretty easily. because I use the alcohol, there's not a whole lot of prep work that I need to do to smooth this out, but definitely could use a little bit. You can see some of the low spots. Also want to try and even that out a little bit. So I'm trying to get it evened out a little bit. It's getting there. So I haven't yet figured out why this isn't populating to YouTube, but it is at least working with Facebook right now, so that's good. So I opened the window so you can hear everything that's going on outside. Okay, as you may or may not know, I live in the flight path, so all right. So that's starting to look more like what I had in mind. Switch over to the higher grit. Okay, now Now I'm going to hit it with the spot putty here. Take care of these little low spots that are going on here. So this is like toothpaste almost. This is just this red glazing putty. You just basically cover the whole thing with it. A lot of the model makers use this stuff to hide seams. I like it because it kind of gives a Bondo type look to it without having to deal with the two-part part of it. And this stuff lasts forever. I think this is only the second tube of this stuff I've ever bought, and the tube on it wore out before I ran out of the glazing putty. I think it does. Ooh, I probably should be wearing my respirator. Ah. Okay. Okay, I put on my respirator. Turn on the fan. Probably should open the window, but I'll do that after I get done with this. I'm just basically putting it on there and smoothing it out so the whole thing is red. I usually do this outside. I will probably do it from outside from now on, but so this stuff is not a substitute for the epoxy, but it is kind of a necessary step to get these animal noses done. Okay, so that's done. And it's almost dry. I'm going to give it about another 20 minutes, but that's basically dry. That's how fast that stuff dries. Yeah. Yeah, so the smell's almost gone. So yeah, I usually do all this stuff outside, but I thought it was worth showing at least one time on camera. So then what I go from here is at this point, this stuff is the 120 and the 240 and the 120 is way too much to take off this spot putty. So what I swapped to is this stuff, which is 320, and I love this stuff. This is 320 3M. Sorry, it's 320 3M, and it comes on this plastic, and it's actually wet dry sandpaper. So I'm actually doing it over the sink. so I won't do it on camera, but basically it will get this nice and smooth and ready for paint. So that'll be the next step with this, but I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit longer. But it's actually starting to look like something, which is great. I like to have a little bit of an upturn on the nose if I can. And since this is already shaved down, I'm just probably going to hot glue that right onto there once it's all done and evened out. It's a little lopsided, so I'll have to take a little bit of this down. But yeah, that's almost ready. And then I'm going to have to pattern the ears. So I'll probably do that with paper towels. Actually, I can do that right now. I already kind of know what shape it's going to be, but you basically just take a paper towel and you can kind of find the shape of that ear. Or you could use fabric, but this is cheaper. Sometimes this is as far as I ever get with it. So you can see. And sometimes I just glue them, but you can start to see how this puppet's going to come together. And I'll make this out of the same fur that I made the rest of the body out of. And I'll probably trim the inside and leave the outside long. And probably won't groom it as much as I did everything else. And then I'll sew it right along this edge. And I'll probably just glue it on the front and then trim it on the front. So anyway, that's where we're at on this guy right now. I think, but the next time you see this, I'll probably be all the nose will be painted, and I'll install it on camera, but it'll be all painted and ready to go after I've sanded it, and then I'll glue that on, and I'll probably make the ears, but probably sew and trim those and put those on. But I think probably the next thing I'm going to do is make the arm rods. I actually was going to use these ones I made before. What do I do with them? I had these 2 arm rods that I had made. What did I do with them? And he doesn't have removable arm rods, so I was just going to use these ones that have the thing. But I realized as I was bending them into shape that they're 2 different lengths, and neither one of them is long enough. So I actually have to make some new arm rods for this. But this will be a future puppets arm rods, I'm sure. So that's where we're at right now on this. This might be the last that I do today, but at least it's starting to look like something. And I will be on tomorrow with some more updates of this thing. And I think my seat is getting higher and higher as it goes. I just realized how much I was chopped off there. Okay. All right. We'll see you next time.